Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Lorcana League Night with
Christopher?
and Roy. And today's talking points we'll be discussing color identity, the new coconut format, and sealed draft as a new concept being beta tested currently at GenCon.
Well, I know for me, all these topics I have a lot of deep interest in. I've never played Commander. I have a lot of passion for drafting and sealed, and to combine those two sound great. But I think the number one thing that's on my mind is color identity. I have a lot of inner rage about color identity.
Why? Is it a raging storm?
That is the source. That's the tipping point for me. Raging storm. I cannot. Okay. Color identity for people who haven't been in Magic and haven't been in a lot of other games. Roy, why don't you go through Magic? What is color identity in Magic: The Gathering?
Color identity in Magic the Gathering is a set of colors that have identities based on what sort of strategies they would be implementing, though. So, for instance, red deck wins, beat you fast, beat you quick, and zap everything right directly to the dome. Whereas the opposite of that is blue is draw cards, gain advantage of your hand and of the board, and basically delay. But
Black, I think, is like symmetrical damage, right?
yeah, symmetrical damage, self-sacrifice, basically winning at whatever cost, including your own life. And for white is basically battle, martial prowess, life gain. And of course, we fall on the color green, which is big stompy creatures and just ramp in general.
Yeah, so I don't mind the fact that Lorcana did not try to pigeonhole their game in the same way. They actually wanted to lean more towards inherently keywords for color identity. Amber, you see a lot of singing, a lot of minion-based actions. So all of your big singing decks, as much as I hate it because they have great singing cards in Ruby as well, but are all in Amber. And then you have some really interesting, if you want to do that kind of aggressive red strategy that's in Magic, you'd have cards like Daisy Duck. Great example of that. So 1/4, every time quest, you get to draw a card for your opponent. So, it's a huge trade-off. One core element of Lorcana's color identity is around draw, because drawing is such a rare resource in Lorcana. So for Amber, when you want to draw, is usually based around healing. Rapunzel was a quintessential draw. Ohana's family, it's Rapunzel without the actual body attached to it, and you can draw more than the three. You have Julieta, who was able to draw when healed. Another element that's very common in Amber, you have a lot of the mana cheat. Angel Song, which has a bunch of weird words I can't say. They have a lot of more willpower characters. So I would say that's probably the biggest stat. And then I like to say that Amber also has necromancy, bring a lot of things back that was banished. Pretty solid identity. Amethyst is the combo. It's, I would say, kind of, what would be a combo color in Magic the Gathering?
A combo color? Well, most combos derive from either heavy damage or heavy card draw. So they're usually like red blue or anything for that matter, or red green if you want to ramp it to something and just produce a lot of mana. But I think a good combo color, realistically, is the identity of Emerald, though, because I'm starting to see a lot of combo decks run into that category as well.
Historically, Amethyst was the combo color.
Correct.
You saw that with like the bounce mechanic,
Yeah.
shifting damage and being able to. So Amber, I always love that for the bands. That identity. Burst lore was another core thing. So for context, for maybe newer players, Merlin Crab was a great combo card. You play him down, you give something Challenger +3, and then you get to play another card that will remove Merlin Crab from the board. Normally, this card that removes a card from the board is just a downside, but because it combos very, very well with Merlin Crab, and when you remove Merlin Crab, you give someone else an additional +3 Challenger. So, you have these really, really great synergies that play into each other that other cards don't have. So you either have understated cards that have some really interesting effect on play, or some highly overstated cards that have some very interesting downside. Another identity that you see a lot in Amethyst, just clean draw. You spin some ink, you get some cards. Friends on the other side, the most efficient draw card I miss so much. Cost sink 3, draw 2. Move on with your life. Burst lore, you have, what was the one song that's the magical song that you just sing to, gain a lore. A lot of other cards that just like sing 2, gain 2 lore, or exert this item, gain some lore. Though I'd say more items around Sapphire. We'll get into that more later. And also Challenger. I mentioned that already. That's a big thing. So maybe I'd kind of summarize a bit of Amethyst. If you want a card that has way too much text on it, you want Amethyst.
I agree.
Now, you mentioned Emerald. They have fun catch-up cards. Draw Left Behind, evasive cards are also usually Emerald. Damaging damage stuff, but a lot of the... Oh, and discard. One of my favorite mechanics, which they've not reprinted yet. But if you want a good deck that does fun things when it's behind, Emerald is built for it in a nutshell.
That's true.
Ruby is combat for, I guess. So I guess goblins, are very aggressive, fast fighters, and you would have the same thing. What would you say Ruby, how combat kind of correlates to a color and Magic the Gathering?
Combat usually is martial based though, so that would be a classic Boros, which is red white. So, you know,
Red, white?
yeah,
Okay.
for the most.
So,
But to be perfectly honest though, it's kind of strange though because Magic was based on a 5 color wheel, whereas Lorcana is based on a 6 color wheel. If you look at it though, so we got Amber, Amethyst, Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, and then Steel.
yeah, yeah.
So they actually they're so there is a chance for blending if there's an even number when it comes to that.
And you have to build decks with no more than 2 colors versus Magic. You can use all colors. So
Yeah.
I think that actually speaks to the fact that they really should Ravensburger really should shoehorn colors a bit more. And one other thing that's interesting with Ruby, and I guess is kind of like interesting lands. I don't know if interesting lands has a color identity, but locations.
Yeah.
Because you have the artifact lands, you have lands that do other stuff. Usually those are colorless lands that have it. Oh, I guess that's the 6th color for Magic the Gathering is artifact.
Yeah. Technically, it's the unspoken one though, but yeah. But
Yeah.
it's so strange though because when I noticed the color Steel, they don't have really that many items that are like prominent as far as it goes though. So that's what usually artifacts are supposed to represent. Steel to me, as far as what I've seen up to this point though, either deals with direct damage or on many cases though, just basically high toughness or resist. Resist is the big keyword in Steel.
Resist, yeah. Bodyguard. That used to be, and that's a lot of the items used to be giving resist or bodyguard.
Correct.
Another core, we talked about draw. Emerald, of course, draws when behind. Ruby draws during a challenge. Steel is hand filtering is a big element of draw.
Yes.
Which gets into a, I'll go into this in a moment. My angry rant. We'll go to Sapphire. Sapphire has a lot more of the healing, but you get, instead of healing for draw, like you'd see in Amber, it's healing for lore, which I think is kind of fun. Items, big things for items, and also a lot of the reduced strength stuff is Amber, but then you get things like Lost in the Woods, which says AoE, reduced strength. I don't know if that's actual built into an identity yet. Tutoring and Scrying is in Sapphire, and instead of really like normal draw, you either tutor or scry a card or you ramp it. You ramp instead of having to draw. So anything else you kind of think about when talking about color combinations or colors for Lorcana? Any core colors, identities that you kind of see when playing?
Well, I've been kind of leaning on the control aspect though. So I initially thought Sapphire was going to be the premier control deck when it was coming out this post rotation though, but I was completely wrong. Got my butt whipped online a lot with the Amber Sapphire deck though. But I do actually enjoy Sapphire as a color when it comes to ramp though, because it's basically something I like to call a compost ramp. So when your creature dies, it just goes into your inkwell or figures out a way to basically put creatures in your inkwell from the top of your library, through the Scream machine. I think that's what it was, though.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, so they do a lot of very interesting things with ramp though, where it's like you draw this, you put this face down, and it gives you the quasi ability to ink uninkable cards. Which is kind of odd though, because I ran into Madam Mim during the sealed though, and she was a green one invasive that allowed you to do that regardless. So
Yeah, and actually Emerald historically has like, hey, you can it breaks the rules a little bit. And, Amethyst is cards with way too much text in it. And kind of one thing that Emerald does is, hey, we don't play by your rules. And you'd have interesting stuff. Like, I think discard is a great concept around, like, hey, I know like the point of the game is by interacting with each other's boards or stuff like that. And, what does Emerald do? Yeah, all the stuff that's on the board. Yeah, we're not going to banish it like normally happens. It's going to go to your hand or your deck, and they're going to discard your hand. So I think your welcome is like a great example of just like, you know what, you can put that back in your deck. You're welcome,
yeah,
and then I'll make you discard those two cards with Prince John that you just drew. So again, it's outside of the thought of how people normally play, which is probably why they haven't continued that often. Though again, I'd love to see some more Emerald discard stuff coming up because it's a good way just to bully people.
I love it. Yeah,
Now, ready for the rant.
go for it.
Raging Storm. Where does that fall into the singing? Oh, is Raging Storm a song?
No, it's not a song.
It banishes a bunch of minions, kind of like, I don't know, Be Prepared, which is, a great Ruby card. Ruby has such great, when they hard remove stuff, they don't say, oh, well, do 5 damage to something. No, that's kind of a steel thing. They don't go, well, sing a song and stuff like, and, you can remove this. That's Amber, because if Raging Storm was a song, I totally understand it. I was like, okay, Steel's missing Be Prepared, and I guess this is just a weaker version of Be Prepared. It's sad that it's gone, but Amber has all those singers. I absolutely understand. No, it's just hard removal. Why is this not? So that just tipped me over. I started making checklists of like, all right, how are they breaking their class identities? Mowgli. What does Mowgli do? Discard something from your hand. What color is a discard something from your hand
It's
other than emerald?
Well, it's usually amber, or it could be other different cards as well too, depending on what your flavor is.
Emerald is a discard from hand. If you want a deck to discard something from your hand, just go ahead and add emerald to it. Why did they make Mowgli amber? There is no other cards that are consistent with that play style for that color identity. And I again, you see this again and again and again. Amethyst, it's stealing so much of evasiveness that, usually it should be, again, Emerald is, you have the White Rabbit who's able to be evasive turn 1, just a 2/2.
Mhm.
I mean, Amethyst, if it was like Christopher Robin, yeah, that makes sense. Lore is the most important, you know, uh, stat for Amethyst cards generally, because it's not their stats. Let me tell you, their stats are trash, but they have a lot of text on it. If you want to make a card that had like way too much text and make that a turn 1 drop for catch up mechanic, that, yeah, okay, I understand that, but just putting an extra lore makes absolute sense. Challenge, I could see an argument, and this is old Lorcana. The challenge color was steel. Steel didn't have naked attack. It always was, attack. But some of the challenge cards kind of take some. It adds a lot of text to a card, so I can accept that as amber. Every single one of these colors is guilty of it. Rockstar, Powerline. It's a singer. It's a singer that lets you sing a lot of cards. Ruby is the action deck. All the, like, you have Maui Shark, all these cool action synergies, which work really, 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 really well if you wanted to put Raging Storm and Ruby, and you can do some stuff with Maui Shark, and, you do Maui Shark, and you remove everything, and you get a lore for it, and that could be that one lore that you need to win the game. No, of course not. But, you could see like again Powerline. Why is Powerline such one of my favorite singers in the game? Not the best because you usually want cheap singers that can sing a lot. I think Little Mermaid, Ariel, I can't remember what her tagline, but the Singer Seven, like that's quintessentially like one of the best singers that's been printed. She has that tempo. She has that like big song. He's a six coster that still sings nine. There's a lot of great stuff for nine. I think that they fumbled that. Steel's not immune to this either. You have Mr. Smee, Bumbling Mate, who was a great Ruby card. He's a 3/3, costs two, and Quest for two as well. But every time he exerts, if you don't have a captain, he takes a damage. Ruby does so much with the self-damaging and gains stuff from self-damaging. Strength of Raging Fire, which counts how many characters you have on the board and does damage. It's a song. I mean, that's great. If you wanted to give Amber removal instead of hard removal like World's Greatest Criminal Mind, give it Raging Fire. You can make it a Duel Link Amber Steel to show the fact that, hey, takes the I do damage in terms of numbers as steel, and I'm a song, which is amber. Mickey Mouse Trumpeter. Have you ever seen that card?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, why is that not amber? It's mana cheat. It's such a good amber card. So, yeah, I just, I mean, I can keep going. I have a list upon list of these times where really interesting cards would make the game better and I think open up more decks to play if they stick to the color identity. And I think that's the reason why I'm going on this rant too. If you want to have a wider field of decks to play and you abilities, your challenger mana ink cost, your heals, all kind of pretty balanced against each other, I think you opened up a lot more color combinations. I think you opened up the ability for people to really build diverse decks to play, which luckily we are in a pretty open meta for decks. But if you look at, okay, well, I need to protect myself against people singing songs. So right now, Amber does everything. Amber is just the best color.
I agree.
And the things that making Amber the best color, if you move those things to the color identity, which they naturally fit in, I think it catches up other colors to match up to it.
That's an interesting philosophy, though. So by sticking to color combinations, you basically increase the diversity, though. I do have a counter to that, actually.
Okay.
So back when I used to play D&D, there's alignments, right? Lawful good, chaotic neutral, all that stuff, though. But the number one thing that the book stuck out to me that said alignment is only a persona, though, not a straitjacket. If you go directly to the script when it comes to, in this case, colored identity, though, then things become a lot more predictable. Now, I know you don't like Raging Storm as basically destroy, banish all creatures, though, but maybe it's necessary at this point, though. At at a stance, though, amber is the strongest color. There there are many colors out there that possibly can do things that Amber do as well do. But right now, the best cards that are printed for this core format is in Amber. I mean, you got Ohana Means Family, Raging Storm, you got the toys, and you got everything that is supplemented to it though. Premier right now, Amber is the premier color that basically is bold standing out. Now, I'm starting to see a lot of deck lists that are just popping up that are ready to challenge the meta. Primarily purple bots. Now, if you remember when I was trying to create this blue steel deck back when I first started out, though, I was like, okay, this is really good though because one of the characters happened to be blue. I could shift onto it; it'd be quicker. Didn't quite work out that way though. So now purple steel is the premier deck as far as dealing with the robot shift line. And on top of everything else, purple steel is something that does not adhere to the traditional color identity in that focus though, because primarily blue was supposed to be like the theme color for like robots and everything. And for robot steel is the baseline though, but you're actually trying to base other identities based upon it though. I guarantee you when people were creating these decks, they're trying to find different ways to make that robot shift line work though, because it was just too powerful as far as it goes though. But it had to be it was the 80/20 rule, as we mentioned once again. It wasn't completely fleshed out though, but during this set though, there was two very essential shift lines in the 8 CMC and then of course the in between as well. Now, color identity can be a good way to create cards and base it upon themes and anything for it. But then at the end of the day, you also have to think about diversity as a whole. Diversity in deck creation can be attained if you actually just change the identity of certain things, though, because you think about it, Amber going into this next set that I'm starting to look at though doesn't really look like it's gonna be a premier thing though. So they're probably pushing it hard because the way they print these cards though, in my theory is that probably the next two sets though we're not going to see any really good Amber cards though because we're just feeling the last two effects of the last two sets though in this one as well. Especially with toys. I mean that's like breakout aggro deck left and right and everything. I think Amber should is in a good spot right now as far as like building a baseline with songs, building a baseline with an aggro deck, and also on top of that, though, it seems to be a good leading color when you're building decks. Now, if you want to do something a little bit different, then you always have the counterplays, which is like Amethyst Emerald and Emerald Emerald Steel and those other decks. And recently, I think there's a combo deck that you showed me recently. I guess it's dealing with Alice growing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That one is
The support Alice, yeah.
That one is crazy as heck, though. I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, so we got a combo deck for core now. So people are gonna try to find a way to actually piece that together in a certain fashion, which falls into the color category where Sapphire is supposed to be ramp and draw cards. So
There's a combo deck that goes even harder now. I need to show you that one coming up. It's called Touch
t
Paradise.
Touch Paradise, okay, yeah, I saw that one
Yeah.
too, though. That's crazy, and that's a steel deck, right?
Steel Emerald.
See, there you go. That's a combo deck that doesn't fall
Why?
into that color identity.
Right. And I agree with your premise here. And I agree. You know, identity should not be a straitjacket. It should be a guideline. And we're mixing a little metaphor here for class identity, which you have like robots, you have other things which can have a variety. Like I have my Ben, who's a support robot. I have my Omni Droid, who's generally tough, does direct damage. Though the biggest Omni Droid has way too much text. I could see a good argument for making an Amethyst because of all that balance return hand. But I can accept. Hey, you know what? We need this for because it's not too strong. We need this for class identity, not necessarily for color identity. But I don't. I'm not a game. I'm not a part of marketing. I can't tell you on if it's good for sales. Trying to keep instead of doing yin and yangs of all right, this is going to be the season of Amber. Anyone who wants to play the best cards is going to just play Amber. This is a season for Amethyst. Okay, we've had the season for Amethyst for a while
Yeah,
because of all
yeah.
the draw. If you really kind of lean into of like, okay, what are the cards that this single color can run with? And say like, okay, you know what? We're going to really lean into more actions. And you could do that for all the colors because if they have strong identity, then it makes sense. I was like, okay, Amber is going to get a bunch of cool songs that will do stuff. Ruby is going to get a bunch of hard removal. I still think that you can, if the strongest thing of the strongest card for removal does not fit in the color identity, that's where I get upset. If it's just a one-off card that no one ever plays, that's like no one really pays that much attention to, that's one thing. Mowgli is right now the best card for disruption.
Yeah.
You can discard someone's Webby's journal
Yeah.
with Mowgli. I mean, disruption is such Emerald in a nutshell, and Emerald doesn't get it. I can't think of any better hard removal, which is, again, just Ruby's been lacking. I mean, why play Ruby except for aggro, which is a weird thing to say. And you do have some chunky challengers that I'm hoping will stay relevant. Yeah, well, if they would have put Raging Storm, we wouldn't have seen the drop off in Ruby for the past three sets releases. And just now finally seeing people be actually interested in Ruby again. Maybe internal testing, they found that, wow, maybe Ruby is just way too strong. if we put it in here? And I haven't done those checks. And that's where, we can kind of give a little bit of credence, but I don't know. I think that they just dropped the ball a bit. And I would love to see futures, kind of like how Morph, and they fix this in the future. They fix this where when they reprint Morph, they made it Amethyst. And it made sense because there's a text that has too many rules on it. Well, it's not really long. It's just anything can shift onto it.
Yeah.
But that type of odd trickery, like, hey, you know what? I'm doing something. You're going to have to read this because you're not going to necessarily understand it the first time. That's so Amethyst. Not disruption. Again, all those like, I'm going to make you discard your hand because I don't like you. Very Emerald. Yeah, I would love to see more of that. I can understand where cards can blur a line. Big Game Hunter Gaston. He's a undersetted minion that has a really cool effect. I could see an argument for Amber or Ruby. It can go either directions. What if they were to print Gaston as Sapphire? I'd lose my mind. I mean, this makes no sense. Why are you doing this? That has nothing to do with ramp items or anything. So.
Honestly, they should have actually printed Gaston as a Ruby card, though. It feels like a Ruby card. It really does.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
well,
because the flavor of like Ruby is like mostly villains, right?
exactly. There's so many
Yeah.
good villains in Ruby.
Huh.
Well, I've had my rant. Now it's time for your rant.
Oh yeah. So the next subject that we'll be talking about is the infamous coconut format that's been proposed in beta testing right now. I'm of two sides of this though. So number one,
Real quick, for those in the flow, okay, why don't you tell us about Coconut?
coconut format is basically a 60 card deck you'll have to create. You can only have one copy, and then based on what's currently in, there's 18 cards that you could use as your so-called commander and have 4 copies of inside of your deck, and they have a special ability, and they call them the coconut cards. So basically, it's like a weird version of like the illustrious commander format, though, which is, I'm gonna say it straight up though, it destroyed Magic the Gathering for me personally, because I understand the concept behind, yes, you could use your old cards. Yes, it's supposed to be a cheaper format, but that fell by the wayside when Magic the Gathering started printing cards for that specific format, though. Now, the one thing that I will take away from this is like, okay, so they're trying to introduce new ways to play, which is fine, and to do a multiplayer format that might work out. But the one thing I think Ravensburger needs to understand is that you cannot lean into this as a revenue generating possibility whatsoever, though. Because in Magic the Gathering, they started printing cards that specifically attended to like commander sets, though, and they're just like, okay, we understand that you want to play commander, so we'll give you this specific card and this specific card. And every now and then they print like a really broken card for like one of their legacy formats, though, and it just goes completely off the handle, though. And I just don't like that. And that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why I left Magic the Gathering, because I just couldn't stand the fact that I couldn't play regular 60 card, either like standard, legacy, or even modern. Have a fire though, and I'm seeing like 16 people playing Commander with each other though.
I have not played Commander in Magic, so um, can you play Commander cards in Magic the Gathering?
Yes, in legacy format only.
So in Gen Con, which is where we've seen this actually occur, this is how we know this is existing. Here's one thing that they're doing, which gives me a lot of hope. And another piece of context too. It seems that Infinite is struggling a little bit. It has yet to actually find its footing and a lot of the momentum for people to be excited to play it. So this may do a good job of reviving Infinite. What they've done with the Coconut is you're not getting a special card. What you're doing is you're getting a special rule. So on the app, when you say like, oh, I'm going to do I think the most popular Coconut one is the Donald Duck boost one. You say like, okay, my Coconut is, and it has a name, like the Rage of Donald Duck, Destroyer of Quacks. I don't know what it's actually called. Then you can include 4 Donald Duck, Fred George cards in your deck and one of everything else. And you don't have to have that card out in order to have its special boost ability. That special effect from your coconut is forever. So effectively, you just basically say like, oh yeah, here's my Ravensburger app. Here's where it says what my coconut ability is, and then that's just going on forever. And then you kind of just lean into it. So this could be a purely digital. Of course, they could sell like physical coconut cards, and who wouldn't want to buy it? Anyone who gets excited about coconut cards, but you still play with all of your normal cards.
Yeah.
There is no adjusting of cards, and they say like, "Oh man, we made a coconut that's way too powerful.
Yeah.
We're going to have to tune this back." And if they do it all digital first, with again some backup support cards to if they want to have a physical version, they go, okay, yeah, we just changed the app. App's updated. Here it is. So I'm hoping, I don't know, that this is just in beta test, that they keep this as the extra stuff you get. Digital, this app. You just show people the app. Here it is. Here's my coconut. Here's what my coconut does. And you just build your deck as is. And they don't focus on trying to modify the cards to work for coconut. They modify the coconuts themselves in order to make this more exciting and say like, yeah, I could do infinite. This is great. I can play whatever cards I want, and just I'll lean into a coconut that leans more into like the boost cards. Those are all current in rotation. Voila.
Okay. So I do see the aspect though, but under the caveat of, I'll reiterate this again though. They should not print cards specifically for this format though, because
Yeah.
you don't want anything to compete with your premier play, which is 60 card one-on-one. Now I know that we're
Right.
talking about other PvE combat like Illuminator's Quest though. That's perfectly fine. I enjoy that concept. The thing with Coconut though, I do agree with the concept that okay, so they could actually just basically either errata or update, or don't have to straight up ban any cards in this format though, and they could just change the format of the Coconut if it gets out of hand. I like that concept because they're doing something experimental here that's meshing the two worlds of digital and physical in one format though. So I do actually, I'll give them kudos for like that sort of innovation whatsoever. Now let me get
Hopefully, it's not just a Gen Con thing. So that
yeah.
we will limit our expectations of this is what we know they've done. This is not what maybe when they release it for realsy. This may be like, oh no, the Lorcana, the Moana Curious Explorer card, Coconut card, is actually going to have it built in, and they're going to, you have to play her, and she has to be on the field for it to happen, and they don't change the rules in that direction. At that point, that I would very much agree of like, oh man, maybe they won't be throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
No. This gives them the ability to actually prune everything and beta test it though. So this is actually excellent. I'm looking at the cards right now. I'm like, okay. So just as a troll, I'm actually going to build a coconut deck though. So guess what? Guess what card I'm gonna actually build it with?
Robots?
No, I'm gonna do Winnie the Pooh, which is
Oh, that's a good one.
the hands down probably the worst ability there is though. Whenever you play a character without an ability, you may pay one to draw a card. That's going to be like the most vanilla deck in the entire format though, but I can see multiple configurations with it. So you can put Christopher Robin, do the whole Dungeon Party Pooh thing, and then on top of that, just have a whole bunch of like blank cards that don't do anything, but you'll get card draw off of it though.
I mean, call draw is such a premium in Lorcana. That is an aggro deck. It's going to be disgusting. You have a bunch of, I would make this, what? So this, it has to be purple and sapphire, but and you just
Three
throw
colors.
amber in there.
Yeah, three colors.
Yeah.
So in this one, this would have to be purple sapphire or maybe amber, or depending on which way it goes, it could actually go ruby as well. Because I might put Tigger on there and then just have a whole bunch of like weird other like, but I'm gonna have to do some research as far as like how many like characters with no abilities are out there for each one in the whole of Lorcana.
All right. For next show, we'll bring our coconut decks, and we'll talk about if we love this format, we hate it. Maybe we'll like try to prototype a game through or not. I know it 2-player won't work as well, but we maybe see able to get some people together and play through, see how we feel. Maybe we find out that like, wow, this game mode's silly. What do you think about the idea though of maybe this might be the replacement for Infinite?
Replacement for what?
Infinite mode,
For,
which is the cards which have expired, past rotation cards.
oh, it's not going to overtake Infinite as a format. They've been pushing Infinite as far as like a format. They want to make sure that there's going to be, and the longer the game stretches out, though, they might actually come out with a modern version of it, which is kind of like, mid Infinite, which is like, all right, cards from this saga and forward will be that format. That's what the stage will be set, though. But I think there needs to be approximately 24 more sets to be released for that to be a possibility. So we got a lot of Lorcana to go through in order to get to a third format, which is one-on-one competitive, 60 card.
6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like them to release coconut mats. You choose your coconut character, you get a specific mat for it, and then your mat, and then it has all the rules for your character on there. That would be I would, if they were to print physical media, I don't want cards for it. I want, hey, what are you playing? Unrolls mat. Oh, you're playing Pooh. I see that now.
Yeah, any excuse to play Winnie the Pooh in any sort of format in this game, though, I will take it, even if it is coconut.
And the branded merch for it. No, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. And that rolls into our final subject of the evening, which is the new sealed draft format that is actually being playtested over in GenCon as well, though. Now, I was like, what is sealed draft? Sealed draft is you open up 6 packs, you look at your sealed pool, and I think they give you a certain amount of time to look through it. And then afterwards, you draft the 4 packs just like normal in a draft format. And I think the rules are all the same. Keep all color combinations, or you can use all color combinations for that form. This has got something I want to sink my teeth into, though. If 60 card core is a cheeseburger at a restaurant, though, sealed format to me is all you could eat sushi buffet that you are rewarding yourself, though, at the end of a Friday of like a big gain or any sort of like celebration, though. Sealed draft combines both of my favorite formats into one single big splash of cards, though. Not only it's great for building your collection, but you get to experience the dead drop and the drafting format and all in one, though, with a total of 10 packs. And I think that's a box. Is that almost a box? There's 12 packs in a box, right?
Yeah, I think it's 12. Yeah, 12 packs, almost a box.
Yeah, it's a box battle. So you're actually fighting your box against other boxes.
That's so expensive. That's so in order to play this, that's like what, $100 in order to get in?
Sure.
And you're building a 40 card deck or a 60 card deck?
I think it's 40 cards. It's a huge pull. No, I've played these type of formats when I was playing Magic, though. We do team drafts. We do like team sealed. We actually did a sealed and draft of like 3 different sets whatsoever. It gets crazy. So the crazier that any sort of limited format whatsoever, though, the better in my eyes, though, because you just get basically more selection. It's just power,
right.
Power, power.
I would love this if it is a 6 booster pack thing. So what you do is you draft with, say, 2, and then you open your other 4. The reason why, first off, I don't have all the time in the world to go through 120 cards in order to make a 60 card deck. So I would love this to, I think even for new players, especially, they don't want this massive investment of time because you'd have to increase the draft time, to like what? An hour? Can you go through just building your deck in less than an hour with that size of a thing? If you only draft 2 packs, we're talking about 15 minutes for drafting. Let's say 20 minutes. Give 10 minutes to do the draft around for 2 sets, and then you have another 10 minutes to go through your last 4 packs to build your deck. You can finish building your deck in 30 minutes, and then you get your games in, and that is a hour and a half, fair amount of time. Well, of course, you also will need breaks in between. So let's say 2 hours. 2 hours to do a whole tournament with that. I think that'd be fun. That is a a consumable amount of time. I love the idea as well. I think doing the sealed part at the end to complement what cards you get. Otherwise, people will take aggressively long time to over optimize when they don't know. I don't want to hamper someone's round while trying to get the drafting part versus the drafting is just the cherry. I mean, sealed right now is what's only 6 decks. Drafting's only 6 packs. Drafting's only 4 packs. So you're getting more cards than you were normally out of drafting. And for sealed draft, are they doing 2 ink colors or are they doing all the normal 3 ink colors?
Not to my knowledge though, but I think they're basically using the same rules for draft, so
Okay, so all ink colors.
yeah, all
Yeah.
colors though. No, I understand you're concerned about the time aspect to it. I completely understand. Constructed is the same way if you think about it though. You got everything together, boom, fire it off, get the rounds going through. Sealed draft, in my opinion, has two places where it could be. Number one, it could be at your local TCG store, like on a Saturday or something, if you don't have to go to work the next day. It's definitely not a midweek thing because you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
it'll be great. No, and it's great for like, pre-releases and everything. You sell more packs on top of everything. You're sitting down and you're like, okay, I'm gonna really sink my teeth into this format and get as many packs as possible. And isn't the default for most people just to pick up a box anyways? This is a way to put your box to work for you, you know?
Fair point. Yeah, so I personally would love to see more opportunities for stores to host drafts or sealed. I think sealed draft is a good way for someone who's like, I love sealed, I love draft, I want that. But this is the opposite of pack rushes, where it's a hey, I got a box. This gives me an opportunity to open it and do something fun with it, even though I'm sharing my box with all my neighbors with what they pulled from their boxes, which could be an interesting feeling too. Of do I want to? One of my packs has 2 enchanteds in it. I'm just saw one of my enchanteds leave because it's a booster box, so highly unlikely so box is going to have 2 enchanteds, but still, maybe it has like the go-to card, the most powerful card of the set, and an enchanted. I have to take the enchanted. I just saw my most powerful card for just 6 packs. So it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to have. Man, you could even do 3 and 3. 3 packs I'm going to open for myself, and 3 packs I'm going to pass away. And hopefully I get the cards I need. If I don't, it's not going to be heartbreaking because it's going to be whatever is going to be passed around. Maybe something exciting gets passed around to me. So yeah, gosh, 10 packs, so many packs. I just keep thinking about how long that's going to be, and like I'm going to finish and be sitting there for like the next like 30 minutes waiting for everyone else to do all their sealed construction. It's just like, oh, I just can't. It's taking so long to
Yeah,
get this done.
yeah, because the other thing I wanted to mention though, this is primarily the second place for this is at big conventions though, where you're gonna be there for like 8 or 10 hours anyways though. It's like, okay, well, we got the schedule going up though. This is gonna take up like most of my convention day. Okay, I'll just sit here and play here. If you're not playing competitive at one of these tournaments, you can just sit down. And this is like a great side event, especially
Yeah,
when a set just comes out. Everybody's all hype about the new set. You're like, okay, let me put my box to work then at this point.
I love that. That is a great one as a convention event.
Hmm.
Just being able to say like, oh yeah, let's all sit together and do that. I think that'd be super fun. No, you sold me on that for doing this, and I they have historically, not just Ravensburgers, but most card games would have like a little bonus for playing. So yeah, you usually be able to say they would have you could have a 10 box set that's unique to there, that's priced very, very friendly. So it was like, hey, you know what? I didn't get a box, so I went to the convention. I got their sealed box, and you could do special sleeves for like, oh, these are my draft sleeves, and these are my sealed sleeves too. So when you open it, you never know which ones you know exactly which packs you're going to be passing. So you don't feel that upset about. I was like, well, I had to. It marked as my drafts pack, so I have to pass that one. So no, I could see that being really, really fun at a convention.
Yeah, totally at a convention though. To be perfectly honest, sealed draft to me is is probably be one of my most favorite formats to play because I'm a glutton when it comes to cards though. The more options I have, I just go crazy. Like I'm literally training my son for to go to buffets as we speak right now though, so he'll understand the joy of pure choice all over the board. I love it.
Yeah, it's my concern's not as much for me. It's for the other people who have analysis paralysis and go, oh, this is taking forever.
Well,
I want to play my game now. I'm tired of watching you decide which of these one drops are the least bad for the past 7 minutes.
Well, you think about it this way: if there's certain people that they just want to fire off like regular one-on-one or something like that. That's for those people. These are the people that actually like really love the limited format, the dead drop and the drafting and on the whole journey, the whole roguelike journey to get to where you get to go. And then you smash your deck up against your opponent's deck and see what happens at that point.
Crazy idea. Okay, next level sealed draft. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
You draft your 4 packs. It's 6 rounds. After every round, you get 1 sealed pack. Get to add to your deck. That's true roguelike.
That is
So your
true.
deck constantly improves every round. And you might get like, you draft, sure, and you get your starting cards. They're like, okay, that's great. Really encourages people to stay through. Also works really, really well for if you want to say like, hey, we're worried about people just dropping off at the beginning of the draft because they didn't get a good starting hand. Hey, you never know. Your next pack you get after the next round, and it'd be the same thing as getting your quest rewards or your level rewards or whatever at the end of each roguelike level.
Yeah, I think I did something similar like that. We did a draft and we were given a pack at the end of each round, and we were allowed to actually put that in there. That's actually a pretty excellent idea. I would totally play that as well. Kind of like
Yeah, and
kind of like you said, it's just a roguelike. You're rolling through. It's like, all right, let me go up against this opponent. I didn't really have bad. You happen to pull like a bomb inside your pack, and you're like, okay, let me make this a little bit better, and then strategy starts shifting a second or third pack in, and you're like, oh, okay. I wouldn't put it at 6 rounds though, but I would most definitely cap it at about 4 rounds.
yeah, well, you could do if you want to do 6 packs total, like really get the size of a sealed deck.
Yeah,
You do draft 3 packs, and then after everyone's done drafting, hand out that 4th pack. Everyone opens that, and then make your 40 cards, and then round 2, round 3, and then at the end, of course, you get your last deck, no matter what, last pack of participation pack, if you will. So you can charge the same amount for that as any other sealed event too. So like the value of it is 1 to 1.
something to chew on though.
It's fun. That sounds fun. All right, you sold me. All right, we just have to convince all these game stores to do a sealed draft. But the drafting part is the deck building part, and then you seal for rewards, and you constantly upgrade your deck each round.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, speaking of opening packs though, let's go ahead and open up a nice cold one. So, Christopher, what do you have for us today?
Today I have one of my last. I have one more after this. Wilds Unknown.
Okay, and as for me, I'm going to fade you with Attack of the
Oh,
Vine.
Attack of the Vine.
So go ahead, Christopher. I'll call him out as
Going to open this, my measly nails, as I try not to rip the cards. There we go. All right, here we are.
Inner Strength, Omnidroid.
We are just talking about you.
Yeah. Merida's Bow. We got Grumpy,
I am not.
Kita, Prince Eric, Gadget's Goggles, Violet Par. Ooh, Omnidroid, the second shift.
I guess I have to build that deck.
And we got Cinderella as your rare. And we got Diablo as super rare. And your foil is Julieta
Julieta.
Magical. Excellent.
All right. That's great. That's a fun pack. I got some Omnidroid, and I've been looking at the Omnidroid deck, and instead of going heavier into the Violet Par, I was looking at Maleficent. So the the Diablo with the Maleficent shift might
Yeah.
be really good.
Well, you're gonna turn those bots sideways though, so that would definitely benefit that duel.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Attack of the Vine. So here we go.
That is Ellie. Oh man, don't try to say that name. Kokomona?
Kubona.
Hey, another Diablo. That's a good one.
Another deal.
Donald Duck. Panic.
We got Panic.
Another Ellie. Ooh, 2 in 1 pack. That's weird. Oh yeah, good Celia. Got a bunch of those in my draft. Oh, Carl. I can go all the way up with that. Eeyore. Nice.
My favorite donkey. And we got a rare.
Oh, Ming Li. Nice Ming Li rare.
Yep.
Got a good shift target for the big Ming Li.
Hey!
Oh, Merlin Lee. Yeah.
And for the foil, we got.
Oh, I love that one. If I didn't have
you.
you. Everyone gets a draw too. Great for aggro. Love to see that.
Now, as a side bonus note, seeing those cards now in the coconut format, which one would you actually play from that pack for one of your decks?
I kind of agree with what everyone else is saying, that the boost deck, because right now with what's happening with Ruby Amber, that boost deck is turning out to be really, really solid.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of old cards, old cards. So I'm trying to figure out a good singing deck, because my thought is Emerald, Ruby have great singing synergy, and to be able to combine that with Amber, I could sing all of it. Think about how powerful they are. But there's no good singing. I was about to call them singing commanders. No good singing coconuts yet. So maybe they'll add one.
Let me stop you right there. Ariel Spectacular.
Are you saying Ariel?
Yeah, Ariel Spectacular Singer. So whenever a princess character of yours sings a song, you gain Lord equal to their quest or their.
Okay. Yeah, all I need to do is just make Powerline a princess, and then we're set. But yeah, no, that is really good. And Powerline would do. I mean, that gives me a direction to include a lot of princesses. I mean, there's only one of Powerline, one of Max Goof. I'm sure everyone else who's looking to play that is going to do mostly steel, because you have grab your swords and stuff like that. But I think that the return to hand and being able to sing things like to do discard as well, include that disruption with such a wide format, it will be a lot of fun. So I don't know. Okay, you know what? You sold me. I'm going to try RL out, see if I have if I can find that good combination to just absolutely control someone's hand, control someone's board, and just hard removal and not run steel. Bet it could work.
Okay. Well, it looks like we solved Lorcana League Link for this week, though. Yeah, hopefully we could resolve a lot of things as far as like thoughts and minds and color identities and just formats in general, though. But one thing above all else, my heart is always with community. As long as people are still playing this game, I'll still keep playing this game.
Absolutely. I'm having fun. And if it's just you and me, you know what? We can have a great time playing together. Put down in the comments on are you excited for Coconut? Do you even care about color identity, or you just want to play more tribal synergies so you can play that princess deck that has yet to really, or Seven Dwarfs deck that's been trying to break through? Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.